Aloha and welcome to yet another tutorial on Adobe Premiere. We're going to talk a little more about cloning this time. In the last episode, we talked about cloning as a very overt technique. We actually duplicated characters on screen, and we had one actor playing three parts, and we did that through cloning. And that's certainly one way to apply the technique. But cloning can also be used to repair problems, and we're going to take a look at that today. So over here, this is something that was shot for a preview day. We put together a little video extolling the virtues of the communication program for incoming students to watch. And of course, each of us professors got interviewed. So this is my interview. It's just a little welcome thing. Aloha. I'm Professor Tom Galley. If you decide to focus in digital media, you're going to see a lot of me. Okay, and it goes on for a bit, but this is enough to see what we want to see. Now, clearly, I'm in front of the green screen. This was designed to be chroma keyed, and then I have an animated background, you can see here, that's going to be behind all of the interviews that we shot with each of the professors. So I already have, let me go ahead and click on this, I already have my Ultra Key all set up, so you don't have to watch me do that. But there's a little bit of a problem. Let me play this and see if you spot it. If you decide to focus in digital media, you're going to see a lot of me. Okay, maybe it's too subtle, and particularly if you're watching it on a small device, it might not be that obvious. But what's happening, let me turn my key off. Look at the logo on my chest. Advita is the name of Chaminade's student advertising team. And the thread that is used for this embroidery is blue gold. So when I turn the Ultra Key on, look very closely at that logo. And you know what? Let me just zoom way in on that thing so that you can see very easily what it is I'm talking about. Okay, so when I play the video, if you decide to focus in digital media, you're going to see a lot of me. I teach the classes on video. You can see the animated background through it. You can see that the Advita logo is changing color on my chest. And it's changing color because it is being keyed out by the Ultra Key. If I come and look at my alpha channel view, there, look at that. You can see very clearly that that is not a clean key, and it's going straight through to the background. So how do I fix this? I'm in front of a green screen using the green screen effect, and the thread in my logo has green in it. It's being affected by the key. We are going to fix this by using cloning. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to put the same piece of video atop of what I've already got here. So up here on video layer 3, I'm going to use the same piece of video of me sitting there in the studio. And I'm going to use it without the chroma key effect, but I'm going to crop it down so that only a little bit of it is showing on the screen. By far the easiest way to do this is I'm just going to double click this clip here on the timeline, which will open it up in the preview window over here. And then from the preview window, I'm going to grab the video only and drag it onto my timeline on video 3. So this is by far the easiest way to make a direct copy of the same thing. I could have done a copy and paste, but there's some targeting, which I haven't talked about. Making it show up at the right place on the timeline is a little bit tricky. Oh, what the heck. Let's do that anyway. Another way to do the same thing, I'm going to highlight this and hit copy. And I'm going to move my playhead down here to the end and hit paste, Command V, zoom out. So there's the same clip. And I don't want the audio, so I'll turn off linking and delete the audio. And then move this up here. And zoom back in. See, a few more steps to accomplish the same thing. But either way, what I literally have is the same clip on top of itself twice in a row. And right now, it looks like nothing different. I'm going to select this top clip, and coming over to my effect controls, I want to get rid of the Ultra Key. So I'm just going to highlight it and press delete. Okay, so I am no longer keying out the background, which means that the thread has returned to normal on my t-shirt. but it also means that I can't see the background because I've got an entire piece of video blocking it. And here's where we get fun. I'm going to draw a mask, and again in the same place up here in the effect controls under my opacity thing. I'm going to grab an elliptical mask. When I click that, it'll create a mask, and you can see everything inside the mask does not have the Ultra Key effect applied. And as I move this around, right, we can use this kind of as a spyglass if we wanted to see what's behind it. I am going to shrink this down quite a bit by using these adjustment nodes. And this is going to be really easy because I don't move. And then I'm going to just put it on top of my logo. You know, I want to make it a little bit bigger because I'm sure I wiggle a little bit as I talk. And I don't want the edges of the logo going outside the edges of the mask. So if I turn off the lower layers here, you can see what this top layer looks like. It's nothing other than a little circle with the logo in it. And here, let me turn on the bottom layer so you get a little contrast there. Aloha. I'm Professor Tom Galley. If you decide... Right. So this is literally video of nothing but my t-shirt, but a very small portion of the t-shirt with no special effects applied to it. And it's sitting on top of video of all of me with the green screen applied. So now, when I play the composite thing... Aloha. I'm Professor Tom Galley. If you decide to focus in digital media, you're going to see a lot of me. I teach the classes on video production. There you have it. I actually used cloning to repair something, to repair a problem that was caused by the green screen effect. I've used this same technique a number of ways. An interview situation where I had a person sitting in a room with a background that had a window, and you know the view out the window was lovely and we liked it and whatnot. But while we were interviewing them, somebody walked past the window, and that was a little bit distracting. But what I was able to do using cloning was to take footage from that same shot. I used a different endpoint and a different outpoint, but I cropped it down using the either the crop effect or using the mask tool so that the only thing you could see was the window. So I used footage of the window to replace the window, but the stuff that I used to replace it was just from a different time, so nobody was walking by while the interview was in progress. So this becomes very powerful. You can use this to do things like, like what you just saw me do to replace a flaw caused by a special effect. You can use it to replace elements in the background. Heck, I could even use it to replace... Let's go back to the cloning Michael one. Let's just look for another example here. What if it offended me that I have this little thing hanging off the top of the chalkboard here, the whiteboard? I don't know what that little thing is, but let's just pretend that that bothered me. All right, so I want to get rid of that. So what I'm going to do in this case, I'm going to make a new copy of that bottom layer and drag it up here onto video 4. So right now it's hiding all of my careful cloning work. And let me give myself a little more space to work here. Okay. So what I'm going to do, and let me turn off all of the layers underneath here. What I'm going to do with this one is the same sort of thing I did before. I'm going to come over here to my effect controls. I'm going to make a mask. And all I want is to make a relatively small rectangle, like so. And I'm not going to put it, so there's the thing I want to get rid of, right? There's the offending little clip or whatever it is that's hanging there. That's what I want gone. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to replace it with this video just to the side of it, just beside it. So if I turn my mask off, right, you can see where it's drawn there. I have just selected a tiny little square. Now what I'm going to do is, using my motion tab, I'm going to change the X value, and I'm going to slide this entire video to the right. And you can see me sliding it there. And if I had the layers underneath it turned on, you can see that this is just messing up everything. But I don't need to have everything turned on. So let me turn my mask back on, and again I'll turn these bottom layers off just so we can see what I'm doing. I'm just taking this tiny little bit of video and sliding it from side to side. Well, look what happens as I do this over the background. Let's slide it over. Where did the thing go? So what I've done is I've literally taken the same video footage and slid it to the right just a little bit. If I were to make this mask bigger, you would see that the clip is still there. It's just off the right-hand side of the... I have moved the clip over. But because I have masked the video so there's only a little bit of it showing, if I deselect that, it goes away. Now, if you look really closely, it's not quite perfect. There's a little bit of distortion there, a little bit of a bump, and I can totally fix that with some careful application of my X, Y, and rotation values. But just to do a proof of concept here, that is a way, and if I play it through. So as I turn this off, there's the offending clip. As I turn it back on, the clip is gone. So this is another example of using cloning to repair something, using cloning to change something, rather than using it as a heavy-handed, or in this example, I'm actually using it both ways, right? One is a heavy-handed way to introduce extra characters, but the other is a subtle way to do repair to a background. All right. I hope that was fun for you. Cloning is something that's really useful, and again, you can use it to play, and you can also use it for some really fine finesse work. I have used cloning for other things, like removing a light switch from a wall. Just recently in a short film, they had shot a dramatic scene through a doorway, so the doorway was providing internal framing, but there was a light switch right beside the doorway. I was able to use cloning to take a little bit of the empty wall and move it on top of the light switch, so the light switch disappeared. And it was lovely. All right. I'm not sure what we'll talk about next, but hopefully it'll be fun.